They say kindness always comes back to you. I used to believe that. My name is Jake Monroe, 32, single, and mostly invisible. I worked as a mid-level marketing analyst at a prestigious tech firm in Chicago, Echelon Dynamics. I wasn't remarkable, but I wasn't terrible either. Just another face behind spreadsheets, another "hey, buddy" in the break room. The kind of guy people passed by without noticing. I kept my head down, did my job, and made sure my tie was always straight. It was a bitter Tuesday morning in late November. The kind where the cold wind slices right through your coat. I was on my usual walk to the train station when I noticed him, curled up near the subway steps, barely conscious. A man in tattered layers, shivering like a leaf in a storm. I'd seen him before. A lot of us had. But like everyone else, I did what city people do. I looked away. Only this time, something stuck. Maybe it was the way his hand reached toward nothing, like he was trying to hold on to the air itself. I bent down. "Hey man, you okay?" He blinked at me, unfocused. "Water." I looked around. Nobody stopped. Just cars honking, commuters hurrying, ignoring what they didn't want to see. I ran across the street to a deli, grabbed a bottle of water and a hot sandwich, and dropped back to my knees beside him. His fingers trembled as he took the bottle. "You're the first," he whispered. I didn't know what he meant. I just smiled. "Eat first. Talk later." I ended up calling an ambulance. He was severely dehydrated, borderline hypothermic. They took him away while I held the bag of his few belongings. One of the EMTs nodded at me. "You probably saved his life." I was 20 minutes late to work. Nothing huge until it was. That day, I noticed something strange. Emily, our receptionist, gave me a weird look when I walked in. Not the usual smile. More like uncertainty. Maybe even guilt. "Rough morning?" I asked. She hesitated. "You could say that." Then my manager, Brian, the human embodiment of passive-aggressive professionalism, called me into his office just before lunch. His face was unreadable. The blinds behind him were half closed, letting in slats of pale sunlight that painted sharp lines across his desk. "Jake," he said, folding his hands. "Can you explain why you were late this morning?" I blinked. Yeah. There was a man outside the subway. He held up a hand. "Spare me the details." "I've already heard enough." That chilled me. "Heard from who?" He didn't answer. Just glanced at a file on his desk. "My file. I hope you understand the importance of reliability in this company. We operate like a machine. Each gear depends on the next." "Are you seriously reprimanding me for helping a homeless man?" I said, half laughing in disbelief. His expression didn't change. "This is a warning, Jake. Nothing more for now." That should have been the end of it. But something about the way he said "for now" made my skin crawl. Later that day, I caught a glimpse of Emily whispering with someone in HR. They glanced my way. I smiled. They didn't smile back. My emails started getting ignored. My teammates stopped looping me into group meetings. I found my name removed from projects I'd been working on for months. I told myself I was imagining it, that I was just rattled. I mean, who gets punished for helping someone? Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was coming, that I'd stepped into something bigger than I understood. The next morning, my company ID stopped working. I stood in the lobby, confused, as the security guard, Dan, who I'd shared coffee with a dozen times, avoided my gaze and mumbled something about IT issues. Emily finally walked over, her face pale. "They asked me not to say anything," she whispered. I stepped closer. "Emily, please, what's going on?" She hesitated. "You helped him, didn't you? The homeless guy?" She nodded. I shouldn't be talking to you." Before I could ask another question, she walked away. And just like that, I was frozen out. Something was very wrong. By Thursday, it wasn't just cold outside, it was cold everywhere around me. My desk had been reassigned. No one said anything. It just wasn't there anymore. My files? Gone from the shared drive. My access badge? Still dead. I had to be let in by the cleaning staff just to get to my locker. It was like the company was slowly erasing me, but without the decency of telling me. That night, I sat in my tiny apartment replaying everything in my head like a scratched vinyl. Helping a homeless man. 20 minutes late. A warning. Cold stares. Emily's whisper. You helped him, didn't you?
Who was he?
I never even got his name. The next morning, I found myself standing outside the hospital I'd called the ambulance for. I felt ridiculous, wandering into a place I had no business being in, but something told me I had to know more. I needed to find that man. A nurse at the front desk gave me a polite but firm smile. We don't give out patient information, sir. I know, I said, trying to sound casual. But I'm the one who called the ambulance. I need to know if he's okay. She eyed me for a second, then softened a bit. You mean the John Doe from the subway? Yes, I said, heart kicking in my chest. That's him. She leaned in, her voice lowering. He checked himself out early. Didn't leave a name. Just walked out around 3 a.m. Said something about not being safe here. Not being safe? I repeated. She nodded. Honestly, it was eerie.
Like he was scared of something.
Or someone. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every creak in my apartment sounded sinister. Every shadow felt like it had eyes. I opened my laptop and pulled up our company's website. Something I hadn't really looked at in detail before. There, listed under our philanthropy tab, was a recent article. Echelon Dynamics pledges $5 million to City Homeless Initiative. There was a photo attached. And there he was. The man I helped. Only he wasn't curled up on a sidewalk. He was standing beside our CEO, smiling, wearing a blazer, a name tag, standing like he belonged there. His name was Gregory Holloway. And beneath the photo, the caption read, Former Echelon engineer Gregory Holloway returns as lead on homeless integration project. I sat back in my chair, stunned. He'd worked at our company? I scrolled further. According to the article, Gregory had once been a lead software architect before a personal tragedy spiraled him into homelessness. He'd disappeared for years. No one knew where he went, until recently. It was framed as a heartwarming redemption arc. But if this was such a celebrated comeback story, why was everyone acting like I'd touched a curse when I helped him? The next day, I returned to work, uninvited, unacknowledged. I walked past people who now turned their heads. I saw Brian in the hallway and called out, Hey, can we talk? He didn't break stride. You're not supposed to be here, Jake. I just have one question, I said, matching his pace. Why did helping Gregory Holloway make me a threat? He stopped cold. His eyes scanned the hallway, then landed on me. You think you know what you're talking about? I held up my phone, the article pulled up. I know he used to work here.
I know he's back now.
And I know everyone's pretending I did something wrong by helping him. Why? Brian leaned in, his voice just above a whisper. Because you weren't supposed to find him. I stared. What? Walk away, Jake. That's all I'm going to say.
Drop it.
Before this gets worse. He walked off, leaving me frozen, heart racing. That night, I got a message request on LinkedIn from a name I didn't recognize. GH. The message read, They're watching you now. Don't trust anyone from Echelon. I'll explain everything, tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Millennium Park. Come alone. I stared at the screen for a long time. It was him. He knew.
And so did they.
Millennium Park looked calm that night. Calm in the way a horror movie sets the scene before everything goes to hell. It was exactly 8:57 p.m. when I arrived. The air was crisp, wind rustling the trees gently. People passed by with dogs, lovers walked hand in hand, and somewhere, a saxophone played faintly in the distance. Normal. Too normal. But I wasn't here for normal. I sat on a bench near the Cloud Gate, the giant mirrored sculpture locals call the Bean, and waited, watching every reflection in its surface like a detective in a warped reality. 9:01 no one. 9:05. My breath started coming shorter. Had this been a trap? Then, from behind, I heard it. Jake. I turned. It was Gregory Holloway. He looked clean now, still rugged, still haunted, but his beard was trimmed, his jacket sharp, and his eyes? His eyes held the weight of someone who had lived through more than I could ever understand. "I didn't think you'd actually come," he said, sitting beside me. "I wasn't sure I should," I replied. "Everyone's treating me like I unleashed a ghost." Gregory gave a grim smile. "Close. What happened to you?" I asked. "Why did helping you cost me everything?" He looked away toward the bean. "Because I saw something I wasn't supposed to see. And when I refused to stay quiet, they made me disappear." "You mean the company?" "I mean the project," he said quietly. "Echelon Dynamics isn't just another tech firm. There's a whole department buried beneath public operations, coded as Division K. No paper trail, no HR access. They work on predictive behavior models, but not for marketing or finance. For control." I frowned. "Control?" He turned to me. "They've been feeding personal data into an AI network that doesn't just respond to behavior, it anticipates it. Patterns, predictions, manipulations. Every user of every device tied to Echelon's network is an unwitting subject." I blinked, my mouth dry. "Why?" Gregory leaned in. "Because whoever controls the pattern controls the outcome." A chill ran down my spine. "I found out by accident," he continued. "I was debugging a code module and realized it was accessing biometric data in real time, heart rate, stress indicators, even audio cues from smart speakers. I reported it. 2 days later, I was framed for data theft. My badge revoked. My accounts deleted. I lost my job, my home, my identity." I swallowed hard. "And they left you on the street?" "They made sure I couldn't survive in the system." "But I didn't die." I watched. I listened. "And then, I saw you." I shook my head, still struggling to believe. "So, why did helping you make me a target?" He looked me dead in the eyes. "Because you triggered a variable." "What?" "The AI noticed. It flagged you. Helping me was not part of your predicted behavioral track. You deviated. And deviations are threats." My hands began to tremble. Jesus. "They're not just watching you, Jake. They're adjusting things around you. Your access, your coworkers, your status. They're trying to bring you back into alignment. By firing me? That's just the first step. Next is isolation. Then discrediting. Eventually, you're not employable, not reliable, not trustworthy. The system scrubs you clean." I couldn't breathe. "Why are you telling me this?" Gregory's jaw tightened. "Because I'm not the only one who needs to fight back anymore." There was a sudden sound, footsteps approaching. Gregory stood instantly. "We're out of time." A man in a black coat was walking toward us. Slowly, deliberately. Gregory backed away. "Leave through the fountain exit. Do not go home. Do not use your phone. I'll contact you again." He turned and disappeared into the crowd. The man in the black coat passed by, not even glancing at me. But I couldn't shake the feeling he was part of it. They were everywhere. I did exactly what Gregory said. I left through the fountain exit. I took side streets, doubled back, and eventually ducked into a rundown motel where I paid cash for a room. My hands were shaking as I slid the deadbolt into place and collapsed on the bed. I opened my laptop again, this time on a secure browser. I searched for anything connected to Echelon Dynamics Division K. One hit. A dead Reddit thread from 2 years ago. Username, Holloway Ghost. The post read, "You'll never see their name in a leak. You'll never find their trail on Google. But they're here. And they're watching. If you've been flagged, your world will shift. People will forget you. Or pretend they have. It's not paranoia. It's math. They don't delete you. They rewrite your future." I slammed the laptop shut. A noise. I turned toward the door. A rustling, like someone testing the handle. I grabbed the motel chair and wedged it under the knob. Then silence. I backed away slowly. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in the dark, every nerve in my body pulsing like static. Gregory had been erased once. Now it was starting to happen to me, and I didn't know how to stop it. I didn't hear from Gregory again for 5 days. 5 days of hiding in a cheap motel room, eating cold takeout, using burner phones and watching the world from behind grimy blinds. I became a ghost in my own life. No emails. No calls. My banking app wouldn't recognize me. My health insurance portal said I didn't exist. Even my LinkedIn profile was gone, vanished like I'd never worked a single day at Echelon Dynamics. And then on the fifth night, I got a text. Unknown number. Meet me where the truth sleeps. 11 p.m. Come alone. I stared at it for a long time, fingers trembling above the screen. Then I replied, "Me? Where?" "Unknown number. 1309, Ellis Street." Back in trance. Ellis Street. That was the old warehouse district, the place where Gregory told me the server backups were once held, before the company built their new facility downtown. I knew that address. I had done routine compliance audits there during my first year. I left the motel at 10:30 p.m. Wore a dark hoodie. No wallet, no phone, just the burner and a flashlight. The air was dense that night, thick with mist and silence. When I reached the warehouse, the place looked abandoned. Rotting brick, shattered windows, rusted signage. But the back door was cracked open just slightly. I stepped inside. It was dark and silent until I turned a corner and saw Gregory standing there, waiting for me, beside a dusty metal server cabinet. "This used to be where they stored the early prototypes of the system," he said without looking at me, "before it grew too powerful to be contained here." "What are we doing here, Gregory?" I asked, voice low. He turned to me, eyes burning. "You need to see what I saw. You need to understand why I vanished." He pried open a panel in the wall, revealing a hidden compartment. Inside was a small device, some kind of hard drive, sealed in plastic. "This is the only offline backup of Division K's source code. It proves what they're doing. It logs behavior predictions, digital manipulations, and the profiles of everyone they've flagged." He handed it to me. It was ice cold. "You're giving this to me? I've done all I can. You still have a name, Jake. You can still go to someone." I scoffed.
Who?
"The same journalists who ignore every major tech leak unless it trends on TikTok? The government officials who accept donations from Echelon's board." Gregory looked down. "Then don't give it to anyone. Expose it. Show the world. Upload it to every platform that still has some soul left." I nodded, gripping the device tightly. "And what about you?" He gave me a sad smile. "They already erased me. But they didn't expect you." That's when we heard it. A voice echoed from the shadows behind us. "You're right. We didn't." We spun around. Out of the dark walked Charlotte Emery, Echelon Dynamics Vice President of Strategic Initiatives. She was the last person I ever expected to see in a decaying warehouse. Flanked by two men in security uniforms, she stepped forward, heels clicking against the concrete. "Jake," she said calmly, "I wish you'd answer my calls before things got messy." My mouth dried instantly. "You were part of this?" She raised a brow. "Part of it? Jake, I run Division K." Gregory stepped between us.
Get out of here, Jake.
"Run." But I didn't. Not yet. Charlotte looked at Gregory like he was a fading memory. "You should have stayed disappeared, Gregory. You were safer that way." He raised his hands, defiant. "You can't contain the truth forever." She sighed. "Truth is elastic, dear. Especially when no one wants to hear it." And then it happened. One of the security guys lunged toward Gregory. I yelled, "No!" and everything exploded at once. Yelling, scrambling, the sound of a fist connecting with flesh. I ducked behind a column, clutching the drive. And that's when my phone rang. Not the burner. My real phone, which I hadn't turned on. And the name on the screen? Mr. Warren, CEO. My former boss. Heart pounding, I answered. "Jake," said the voice on the other end.
Come. Cold.
"Put her on."
What?
"You're with Charlotte, aren't you? Put her on the phone." Stunned, I peeked out. Charlotte had one of the guards in a headlock while the other was trying to separate her from Gregory. I hesitated, then ran over and shoved the phone into her hand. "It's Warren." She froze, took the phone, stepped aside. And the moment she did, her face changed. All the arrogance melted away. She nodded silently, then muttered, "Yes, sir, understood." She handed me back the phone. "He wants to talk to you." I lifted it, stunned. "Mr. Warren?" His voice was level. "Jake, thank you for helping Gregory. That was very brave. And very foolish." "You knew all of this?" "I designed it." The blood drained from my face. "You were never meant to see the gears behind the machine," he said. "But now that you have two choices." I swallowed. "What are they?" "Option 1, you go back to your life. I'll restore your job, your reputation, your accounts. Gregory vanishes again, and we pretend none of this ever happened. And the other? You leak the truth," he said, "and then you'll watch the entire world shrug. You'll become a conspiracy joke. A man with no proof and no past. And soon no future." I looked at Gregory, who was staring back at me with pleading eyes. My hand gripped the device. The warehouse lights flickered. "You have 1 hour," Warren said. "Then the decision becomes ours."
Click.
He hung up. I didn't speak for a long time after the call ended. The warehouse was quiet again. Charlotte and the guards were gone, disappeared as if they'd melted into the mist. Gregory stood in the corner, breathing hard, blood on his lip, one eye swelling shut. But he didn't ask me what Warren said. He didn't have to. He knew the question. Would I expose the truth or erase it? We sat in silence, the weight of 1,000 lives hanging in the cold air between us. Then I said it. "I'm going to do it. I'm going to release the code." Gregory looked at me, cautious but hopeful. "Where?" I shook my head. "Everywhere." I spent the next 36 hours bouncing between cafes, libraries, and rooftops. I used every trick I knew to stay untraceable: VPNs, air-gap systems, encrypted files stored on decentralized networks. I uploaded Division K's source code to whistleblower sites, dark web forums, and open-source repositories. I sent it to journalists with track records of defying corporate giants. I even uploaded a simplified explainer to TikTok and YouTube under anonymous accounts, something short, emotional, and true. Imagine a system that knows your secrets before you speak them, that deletes your future before you even make a mistake. This is not science fiction. It's real. It's called Division K. The post went viral. For a moment, it looked like I'd done it. People were shocked, furious. Hashtags exploded across social media. Hashtag Division K, hashtag Predictive Erasure, hashtag Echelon Exposed. Gregory and I watched the numbers climb from a new safe house. Tens of millions of views. Thousands of comments. It felt like we'd won. Until the scrubbers came. First, the videos were labeled misinformation. Then, entire platforms started banning them. Reddit threads disappeared. Telegram groups vanished. The code was flagged as digital terrorism on GitHub. The journalists I'd contacted stopped responding. Some of their emails were suddenly deactivated. My own laptop began to crash when I tried to log into backup accounts. And then the wildest thing happened. People started forgetting. I'm not kidding. Friends I'd reached out to just days earlier, people who swore they'd help spread the word, now messaged me back saying, "Sorry, what's this about?" My own brother called me and said, "Hey, did you get a new number? I haven't heard from you in months." It was as if my exposure of the truth was being digitally and psychologically erased. Gregory paced in front of me, panicked. They're using predictive influence models, cognitive reshaping algorithms. It's worse than I thought. What does that mean? I asked, heart racing. It means they're not just scrubbing content, he whispered. They're suppressing attention, rerouting memory clusters. They're rewriting what people even care about. I stared at him. "Jake," he said, voice shaking. "They've turned the internet into a living organism that forgets you in real time." The phone rang again. This time it was a video call. Unknown ID. I almost didn't answer, but I did. Mr. Warren's face appeared on the screen, calm, polished, unmoved. "I warned you," he said quietly. "What are you doing to people's minds? Nothing they haven't asked for. The average human attention span is 8 seconds, Jake. You're trying to shout into a hurricane." But people cared. They reacted. For a moment, he agreed. Then they moved on. That's the flaw in your plan. You thought truth still mattered. It does. He raised a brow. Does it? Then where is your army, Jake? Where are the millions standing behind you now? I looked down. My latest post, once at 1 million views, was now flagged, shadow banned, and buried. It had 12 likes. 2 comments. One of them read, "LOL, fake sci-fi stuff, bro, get a life." Mr. Warren leaned in closer to the camera. This is what we do now. We don't delete people with guns. We delete them with silence. The call ended. Gregory smashed his phone against the wall. We have to go public again. Real world. Interviews. Rallies. Street screens. I nodded. We tried. But every media outlet refused us. Public places shadowed us. A man even followed us on the subway until Gregory confronted him and he vanished without a trace. We were ghosts screaming at a world that had already forgotten our names. And then the final blow came. I received a notification one morning. Echelon Dynamics has reactivated your employee profile. My accounts were restored. My apartment access returned. Even my old emails were back. Gregory, however, he was gone. I went to the safe house. Empty. His burner phone? Deactivated. His name? No records. Not even a photo left on my phone. Every image had been corrupted or replaced. I was the only one left. And here's the strangest thing. I went back to work. I showed up at Echelon Dynamics headquarters the next Monday morning, in a freshly pressed suit, and nobody blinked. My ID scanned in like I'd never left. My desk was untouched. My inbox even had messages labeled, "Welcome back." Mr. Warren passed by in the hallway. He smiled and said, "Glad to have you home, Jake." I didn't respond. I just sat down at my desk, opened a blank Word document, and typed the following words. You're reading this because someone, somewhere, resisted the silence. Because that's what this is now. My message to you. Maybe you found this post buried in some forum. Maybe you got this script forwarded by a friend. Maybe you're hearing my voice right now in a video that refuses to stay deleted. Whatever it is, this is the truth. Division K exists. They are watching. They are listening. And if you say the wrong thing, think the wrong thought, ask the wrong question, they will erase you. Not with violence. Not with guns. But with a whisper. And no one will even remember to ask where you went. If you've made it this far, you're not like the others. You haven't scrolled away. You haven't closed the tab. You're still here. And that means one thing. You remember. You feel it, don't you? The strange tug in your gut when things don't quite add up. The eerie sense that certain people vanish without warning. The patterns you're not supposed to notice. The stories that fade too quickly. The questions no one wants to ask. You've always known something was off. And now you know what it is. They don't need to burn books anymore. They don't need to imprison rebels. They just have to make you forget. Forget the outrage. Forget the whistleblowers. Forget that you ever knew what Division K was. But the very fact that you're still listening, still reading, means the erasure didn't work on you.
Not yet.
Which brings us to the only thing that matters now. What are you going to do with this knowledge? Because here's the thing, they don't fear guns or hackers or protests. They fear awareness. They fear people like you telling one other person, who tells another, and another. Because once the silence is broken, even for a second, it can't be repaired. So here's your choice. You can close this.
Shrug.
Say, damn, that was wild, and go back to scrolling.
Or
you can pass it on. You can screenshot it, download it, retype it word for word, and share it offline. Tell your friends. Tell your family. Use code words if you have to. Print it. Whisper it. Leave it behind in forgotten coffee shops. Because they can censor platforms. But they can't predict a whisper they never hear. And if you're worried, if you're scared, you're not alone. We're out here. Quietly watching. Quietly remembering. And when the time comes, we'll speak together. One final thing before I go. If, someday, you can't find this message again, if it vanishes, if you start wondering if you imagined it all, just look for the symbol scratched beneath the park bench, or etched on the corner of a library book, or scrawled on a wall in a bathroom stall. K is not equal to silence. It means one of us was here. And we remember you. Don't forget us. Don't forget yourself. This isn't the end. It's just the part they hoped you'd never reach. Now go. And don't be erased.